Hey guys. Welcome to the channel. This is a story about what if Sakura was the reincarnation of a modern civilian who died of boredom. I have high hopes for this story and hope you guys will love it too. Like the video if you haven't already and subscribe to never miss out on these amazing contents. Make sure to comment your thoughts as well. With that out of the way, let's start. Prologue. Exciting world. I died of boredom. Literally, I died because my soul was bored with my world and decided to leave. Talk about taking a turn off the highway of life. It felt like that too, like falling off a bridge and sinking in water. I couldn't breathe. Suddenly I was yanked out, pulled towards a light, and I gasped for air. Yaa. The sound of a crying baby fit my ear, it was so close and in tune with my breathing. I gasped, realizing that the crying baby was me. A blurry figure in white held me, and I felt the feeling of being wrapped in soft cloth before being passed off again. I ended up in her hands, soft and gentle, my mother. It wasn't just instinct, there was something else, a hum that was in rhythm with my own. It wasn't blood but close, run all through me, producing a self-melody. Ba-dum boom boom. It was the only warning I got before being snatched from my mother's arms. Ha ha ha. He laughed, holding me in the air like a prize. Aren't you just the cutest thing? He was almost yelling and my little ears hurt. Vaguely I registered that he wasn't speaking English but Japanese. Kawaii instantly activated my translator. I was honestly surprised it still worked. I was more so when the man threw me in the air. Mother rushed to catch me but father, I was assuming, caught me no bother. My little cherry blossom, he cooed. Dear. Mother scolded, you can't do that to a baby. She took me in her arms before punching father on the head. He laughed it off and grinned at us. I clung onto mother for dear life. Father, being a scatterbrain, was far too dangerous. Excuse me, the nurse said, getting our attention. I'm here for the documentation. Have you decided on a name? Ah yes, father said, standing straighter. He patted my head. Gentle Sakura, he said, smiling fondly. Sakura Harano. Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves, the first shinobi village and one located in the land of fire. As a village of one of the 5 great shinobi countries, Konoha has a Kage as its leader, known as the Hokage. As of my birth, there had only been 4 Hokage. The 4th died young and the once retired 3rd Hokage replaced him. The attack of the demon fox, an event that would forever scar the village. Long ago a demon fox attacked a village of shinobi. It had 9 tails, one of which could destroy mountains in a single swing. The shinobi rose up to defend their villages. One shinobi faced the demon in mortal combat. He sacrificed his life to capture the beast and seal it away. This shinobi was known as the 4th Hokage, or so the story goes. The tale is well known in my previous life. Naruto, a child burdened with the job of warden of a demon fox. Hated by his village that saw only the prisoner he held within, he was neglected by them and longed to be acknowledged. And so he trained hard, formed bonds and eventually became the Hokage. The title was only given to the most powerful shinobi. It was a great story to read, not so great to experience. While I was not reincarnated as Naruto himself, I was reborn as one of his closest friends. Sakura Harano could be described with one word. Useless. In a world of shinobi where ninja techniques are what make a ninja, she had none. While she did learn healing arts and become a support character, and I use the term loosely, she was never of any use to the plot at all. The one time she was badass was short-lived, and overshadowed by her teammate and love interest, Suzuki, literally moments later. The writer didn't know how to write heroines, and Sakura suffered for that, and being reincarnated as her, if this world follows the plot set by her old one, she was doomed. Even knowing I had no real advantage in this world, my heart raced with a feeling I had long forgotten. Excitement. In a dangerous world where the slightest misstep spells your doom. A grin blossomed across my face. Zabuza, Orochimaru, Gaara, rogues ninjas, and the Akatsuki, and that's not even mentioning the undead army and a god. This life is bound be exciting. I died because I lose interest in what it took to live, willpower. With no conflict or challenge to my life, it eventually ended prematurely. Here there was always an enemy to fight, always a task to overcome, always room to grow. You can literally become a god, and that excited me. Looking in the mirror, a pair of green eyes stared back. Pink hair formed bangs over my large forehead. I wasn't bad looking, in fact, I was cute, thank God. I suspected it was out of jealousy of my good looks that the other girls picked on my one flaw. The first thing I should do is build up my body strength, I decided. Being as badass as Rock Lee couldn't hurt any, well, nothing but my muscles anyway. I should also study spells or fuinjutsu, the art of sealing. Those are the only things I can do while my chakra coils are developing. I had already learned Japanese back when I, like my others, thought they would go to Japan. I had gotten bored with the idea not long after learning the language and having no one to talk to. If this world follows the story, then I'll be placed on Team 7. The first task is beating Kakashi sensei. I wonder if I should change the plan, if only a little. It would be boring if things stay the same. Lost in thought, I walked out of my room and downstairs where my parents sat in the living room. Father, Kaisashi Harano, was an odd man, having dreamy and dull pink hair styled in the form of cherry blossom. His sideburns flowed into his angular mustache. He always wore casual kimono shirts and pants when off duty. You'd always know if his home because he was loud. Though I couldn't help think it was a facade to cover something. Ha ha ha. Father laughed, no doubt at his own joke. Dear, that wasn't funny in the slightest. Having your clothes destroyed in such a way is just heartbreaking. Mother reprimanded him as usual. She was a tall, fair-skinned woman with shoulder-length blonde hair, her bang combed down the center of her forehead. Her green eyes frowned at Father with disapproval. She always wore a dress with slits on both sides and a long pants underneath. Without fail it would have the Harano circles, even though we were from a shinobi clan. Shinobi clans are a huge family of shinobi that have their own specialty, ninja art. They function as a unit in the village. So far they're only the three of us, and we don't specialize in anything. We were a simple civilian family. Bum boom 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 bum boom boom. Like the sound of drums, that was also how I knew when Father was nearby, there would be the sound of drums. Based on his mood the tempo might change, but it always sounds like drums at a festival whenever he's home. Like I said, loud. Mother was more like flutes. The faster the tempo, the more irritated she is. It wasn't fast, which means she not actually mad at Father's words. Ever since I could remember, I've been able to hear these sounds. I dubbed it soul music since it reflected their mood more than anything. Father down at me as I approached. Well, if it isn't my little cherry blossom. She scooped me into his arms. I immediately become to protest. Of course, it went ignored. What you been up to? He grinned at my pouting face. I haven't seen you studying. He hadn't been home often enough for him to know I wasn't studying, which meant someone had to have told him. Mother's soul begun to play a merry tone, giving her away. I already finished, I explained. Father rose a brow. You learned all the kanji and how to read them? He didn't sound convinced. I also know how to count to 1,000, I said innocently, keeping my eyes wide. And how to add and subtract. His eyes narrowed just a fraction. For a second, I almost didn't notice, but his drums become too slow in rhythmic beats. Mother's soul also slowed dangerously. Was I missing something? I get that I'm young, but Konoha isn't short on child prodigies. Father busted into laughter. Oh, is that right? My little girl's is a genius, is she? He laughed again and patted my hair. She gonna become a smarty pant like her mother. Of course she is. Mother said, I can't have her become a knucklehead like you. Father laughed harder at that. Tears pricked his eyes. I poured and crawled out of his lap. I ran to the doorway and put on my shoes. "Sakura, where are you going?" mother called after me. "Out." I called back, "Be back before sunset," and with that, I ran out the door and down the street. My mind raced as I thought of father's drums, even though he was laughing it never once chanced tone. Slow, soft, and deadly serious. A shiver ran through me, fear, but even that was thrilling. Everything seemed so much more enjoyable than boredom. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and running till I dropped. That is what I did for 3 years, like the great one that transcends human strength. While I was stronger than most 5-year-olds, I wasn't a planet buster, sadly. Working out every day had done wonders for my strength and stamina, and with my chakra coils being formed I could finally learn ninjutsu. And thinking about it, didn't Lee do 1000 push-ups using his thumbs? The image disturbed me, and I shake down my head to clear it. I wasn't doing that, even so I wore gravity seals on my legs and arms. It made me slowed and my body fit healthy, but if I could overcome it I would be better off for it. Fuinjutsu was much like programming. You write down a series of commands and apply chakra to activate it. After testing it, you made adjustments until it complied, and you are satisfied with the results. In Fuinjutsu, understanding, ink, something, blood, and chakra is all you need. From just that, you could create something from a simple explosion tag, to a time and space warping storage scroll. It wasn't hard to understand why nations banded together to destroy the Uzumaki clan. What was confusing was why Konoha, despite being their allies, didn't try and save them. I also wondered why no Uzumaki sought refuge in Konoha. Konoha only used the Uzumaki as 9-tail vessels. Mito, Kushina, Naruto. It's almost sad. Mother placed a plate down in front of me with my retained lunch, mackerel sushi, edamame beans, and fresh fruit. She had thought it odd at first but continued to supply it. The meal wasn't costly, if anything it should be kind on her pockets. It was healthy and I was benefiting from it. She placed down milk tea next and walked back to the kitchen for father's meals. Milk and meat are good for the development of the body, but my aim was a bust-to-bust. Sakura was a complete flat chest until the very end. Even hinata and ino developed. In my past life, I had a modest bust I inherited from my grandmother. However, you can still hack it by overdosing on protein. I had been taking care of my hair too, trying out recipes for homemade hair products. I'd gotten attached to my beautiful pink hair and was going to protect it. That girl from the exam was going to lose her arm if she touched it. It was still short, but I wasn't worried, it would grow pretty quick once I hit puberty. Now it was just silky, hovering just above my shoulders. I had used a red hairband decorated with Sakura-shaped jewels, in place of Ino's ribbon. I hadn't met her yet and my hair was becoming a bother. Father had bought it for my birthday. I had been over the moon. Even though he always acted oblivious, I knew by now just how much he noticed. Father looked at me with a grin, though his drums were serious. I had gotten better at my soul reading. I could even sense someone once I got a feel for their soul, or rather chakra. I had a limited range, but once someone entered it, I could track their movement and mood. Right now father was not happy. No one could accuse father of impatience. He sat at the table and joked as we ate lunch, talking about everything and nothing at all. The day appeared to be like any other. It was when we had finished eating and mad movements to leave, that he struck. "Say, Sakura-chan," he started getting my attention, his face masked with a pout. "You've been running off so often lately, could it be a spring tryst?" His teasing was honest for a moment, but he seemed to realize that it was a possibility and he frowned. There was a moment of silence. I stayed quiet, allowing him to overthink. Only when his face began to warp into horror did I speak. "No, I spend my time picking flowers and reading books," I informed him. I wasn't even lying. I was picking flowers, medicinal herbs, and reading books, medical books, and fuinjutsu. I even found one called a hanao, it's really pretty. I queued childishly. It worked. Father relaxed some but not completely. Well, I'm off, I said, turning to leave. They had wanted to know what I was up to and now they did. Thinking I was in the clear, I bolted for the door. I didn't make it far before he picked me up and tucked me under his arm. How about we hang out for a day, he said. I'm always so busy I never got to spend time with my beautiful cherry blossom. Putting on his sandals he walked out the door, with calls to mother and me tucked under his arm. Father stopped at a playground filled with children of all shapes and sizes, most if not all playing ninja. He placed me down at the front steps leading up it, and putted on my sandals. Training all the time is no good, he said in a serious tone. You should make friends or you'll be lonely. He looked at me with serious eyes for the first time. His eyes bore into me trying to convey something important. I looked away. He sighed, standing up. Either way, we're not leaving here until you make at least one friend. I glared at him, then at the playfield of children. I pouted and stamped off. It was easy for him to say, so go make friends. He didn't have to actually do it. I never liked children, even when I was their age. Their childish ways were far too predictable. I'm gonna be a ninja, yelled one. I'm gonna be Hokage, yelled another. My dad knows really cool jutsus, yet another declared. Different world, same stupidity. That's right, they all want attention, and so they must upstage those around them. They must outdo everyone to stand out in the crowd, to be important. How boring. There was no mystery to their action, I could predict them, and that was no fun at all. I wonder if my own children will be boring to me. The unpleasant thought made me pause, stopping in my tracks, frowning. There was little chance I'd actually fall in love, since I was never interested in romance. There were limited love interests in Konoha anyway. Could it be a spring tryst? Father's teasing played in my mind, making me uneasy. Romance, huh? No way. Mom said I shouldn't play with you. The yelling caught my interest, and I looked over to the source. A group of boys around my age were frowning at little boy with blonde hair. The blonde's shoulders slumped as he walked away to sit in the shade of a nearby tree. I couldn't help but stare. I didn't listen to the boys as they discoursed the rules of their game, nor did I listen to those around that gossiped. Blonde hair was very nostalgic for me. In this world, candy-colored hair was the norm, even my own hair was pink. To see a formally, normal colored hair. Curiously, I walked over to where the blonde sat. In hindsight, I should have known. There weren't many kids parents would go out of their way to warn their children away from. Even less with blonde hair. I just thought I wouldn't meet him until the academy. Naruto Uzumaki sat under the tree looking out at the other children with longing. He was so captivated by them that he didn't even notice me until I was upon him. Not good for a wannabe ninja. Sapphire orbs regarded me, and I froze, lost in them. I felt as though it had been a lifetime ago since I had seen eyes do blue. Father and light blue eyes and Ino had pale blue, but no one had sapphire blue. Beautiful slipped from my lips without consent. What? He asked, still looking at me. I gave a nervous chuckle and smiled sheepishly at him. Say, why aren't you playing with everyone? I asked. I knew the reason, of course, because no one wants to play with me, he stated. I knew it to be the case, and yet, seeing his lonely face made my heart ache. Pity my face softened as I looked at him. Knowing and experiencing, this was what made this world infesting. While knowing how everything will happen is boring, seeing and experiencing it is a different story. And seeing his pain made me want to wash it away. I looked over to where Father stood watching me. He was out of my sensor range, but I could tell he wasn't happy. He never did tell me I shouldn't play with Naruto, and he did say I could leave once I had a friend. A devious smirk spread across my face. If you know no one will play with you, I said looking back at him. Why stay here? Isn't it boring? I reached out a hand. Come on, I'll be more fun with me. I gave him my best smile. I hadn't thought of what I'd do once I met Naruto. In hindsight I should have, he was the hero after all, brave and strong. Sometimes it was easy to forget he had a lonely childhood. His beautiful eyes stared at my outstretched hand in awe. There was a moment of hesitation before he took it, and I pulled him to his feet. Casting one more look over my shoulder at my father, his eyes were narrow, I turned and ran into the forest, Naruto in tow. A young green disappeared into the forest with the demon fox. I wonder who's in more danger, Naruto or me. We ran through the forest until we reached a clearing where we slowed. We stood in a field of flowers surrounded by trees. It was well hidden and it took me quite some time to find it. Sakura's hiding place. I turned and walked to a huge tree. Naruto followed. I parted the curtain vines and stepped in. Sakura had decorated this place with toys and flowers. I filled it with herbs and books. Naruto's eyes went wide as he looked around in awe. The space was small but perfect for our size. A table and bookshelf built into the wall sat in one corner, a mortar and pestle, vase of flowers and herbs sat in the other, the floor covered with an old soft carpet. I sat down on the custom mat and Naruto did the same, still looking around. You like it? I asked when he settled down a bit. It's awesome, he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling. Why thank you, I said, my chest rising with pride. I decorated it myself. Really? That's right, I gestured to the table and bookshelf. Over there is my studies, books I bought and notebooks are on the shelves, along with a few storybooks. Myth was often based on truth and so I like to decode the stories written about legends. Over there is my lab. I pointed to where the mortar and pestle and herbs sat. I make ointments over there, along with other things. I gestured to the place we sat, and this is the living space. I sleep here sometimes. I chuckled at Naruto's face. Children were really easy to impress, it seemed. Wide eyes, chubby face, and whiskers, Naruto was so adorable. Say. Naruto said, uncertain, why did you bring me here? He asked, not meeting my eyes. I wanted to show you something interesting, I said easily. Aren't you having more fun there than you were there? I am, but aren't your parents gonna be mad you played with me? Dad was the one to say make friends. I pouted. If he doesn't like my choices, it has nothing to do with us. Father did give me free rein, it's his own fault for dropping me off in a place with a dangerous element. Naruto looked up at me in surprise. Friends? He sounded unsure, almost afraid I'd take it back. Friends with Naruto? The idea didn't sound so bad, it would mess up the timeline, but... I reached out a hand, much like I had before when we met. My name is Sakura, Sakura Harano. Let's be friends. I smiled at him welcomingly. Once more he hesitated, looking at my hand in awe. And Naruto, he said, taking my hand firmly. So young, and already so strong. Naruto Uzumaki, Yano. So cute. The sound of a flute, and the warmth of the summer sun, assaulted my senses. A grass field stretching as far as the eye can see, a bright sun shining above the sky clear. And a distant bamboo flute. Warm, bright, peaceful, and imposing, yep, that describes Naruto to a T. A dark cloud hovered over an ominous mountain, a growl could be heard in the wind that flowed from it. Kurama. The nine-tailed fox demon. A Byakugan, the most powerful of them all, sealed inside Naruto. It was also the reason for his neglect, as the villagers feared and hated the creatures he held captive. My grip tightened protectively. I won't let you hurt anymore, you've been through enough, haven't you? Come on, I'll teach you something cool. I excitingly pulled him to my study table, placing a blank paper in front of him. How's your calligraphy? Naruto, as it turned out, was very good at calligraphy. He was fond of spirals and often exaggerated the curves of most characters. He created his own style. I was kind of jealous. I had him use a Konoha issued paper boom as a template to create his own. His eyes twinkled when it blew up. He even gave me a hug in a fit of joy. It felt nice. Seeing Naruto get excited having succeeded at something made me feel proud. My little Nico. The sun hung low to the west when I walked Naruto home. He had insisted that he walked me home, but I had informed him that my father would come get me. I had felt his presence when we returned from the forest. He kept his distance but stayed close enough to be in my range. Naruto's apartment was on the top floor of the apartment building, his room having its own balcony. The place was a dump, however, and the third lost some of my respect, which wasn't much to begin with. He should have retired a long time ago. A man that was raised in war cannot understand the concept of peace, no matter what he says. To his credit, the old man knew this and had wanted to hand the title over to Minato, and when he died and his own students, the legendary Sunin, were either mad or missing, he was forced to take up the title again. I swallowed a sigh that threatened to rip from me, glancing at Naruto, who was ranting about ramen. I couldn't help but smile sadly. He deserves so much more than this. We stopped at his door. The Uzumaki clan symbol hang proudly on it. Shouldn't the Uzumaki be a noble clan? Naruto should be living in a clan compound, damn it. I hadn't realized it then, but I had adopted Naruto, protective as a mother her newborn. I had been worried I wouldn't love my own child, but somewhere in the back of my mind I overcome it. Without realizing it, Naruto had saved me like would so many others. So he started looking at everything but me. Can we hang out again tomorrow? He looked like a puppy, or rather a kid, afraid of rejection. Despite myself I laughed, he was just too cute. He looked up horrified, and I laughed harder. How anyone could hate a face like that was beyond me. I reached out and patted his head and pet it. I smiled fondly, even as my touch made him flinch. I'll meet you at the playground, and we can go to the base from there yet? I said, and he relaxed, sighing in relief. His face was spiked by his huge grin a moment later. Yeah, he said, then you can teach me how to make my own paper bomb. He smiled brightly. His skies clouded just a bit though, my eyes narrowed. That's right. I encouraged. We'll call it the Uzumaki Bang. I said, hand over his shoulder as I drew the other in the air as though to show him the words. Perhaps he saw it because his clouds faded and he shined again. Yeah, all right. He yelled, excited. I cupped the back of his head and pulled him in close. He was shorter than me, so it was easy to kiss his forehead. He stilled in my arm. I'll see you tomorrow before noon, Nico, I whispered in his ear, which had turned red. So cute. I released him and walked off, touched his forehead watching me go. Looking back, I smiled brightly at him. Bye-bye, Naruto. With that I left, feeling lighter. I'm pretty sure I skipped a few times. Father was at the crossroad leaning on the wall, his hands crossed. His drums were calm, matching his facial expression. Father, I greeted, smiling smugly. I walked past him, only stopping when he spoke. Sakura, are you sure about him? His voice was calm and emotionless. If you choose him, life in the village won't be easy for you. And wasn't that the truth? For a village that preached togetherness and understanding, they were extremely prejudiced, hating immediately what they don't understand. I held my hands behind my back, and looked up at the now night sky. A gentle breeze blew through my hair, cool and soothing. You were right, I admitted, catching him off guard. It is lonely without friends. I hadn't noticed until I met Naruto. I had friendships before this life, but like everything else, it flicked and died. When I realized where and who I was, I didn't worry about friendship because I knew it would come. But even Sakura had Ino growing up, perhaps early bonds weren't so bad. I turned to face father, a serious expression on my face, his eyes widened when he saw the determination in mine. I have chosen Naruto Uzumaki as my friend, I stated. Anyone that tries to sever our bond. I looked him dead in the eyes. Is the enemy. This is so exciting. If I do die in this world, it won't be from boredom, that's for sure. And that was the end of the first part of this story. Comment your thoughts on this. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next part. Peace.